Hey, what's up, family? Look, I just had a revelation. I was just sitting here thinking, like, okay, I went to the doctor because I've been having digestion issues. Like, I've been having this for a couple years now, but when I went to the doctor before, it kind of scared me because this bitch tried to railroad me. She's talking about when I'm telling her my symptoms. Oh, she wanted to give me a colonoscopy, like not a colonoscopy or endos, whatever that is thing that they go down your throat with. And like you can get damage from that. I just felt like she wanted to give me the most extreme um procedure to find out what was wrong with me when all she had to do was look at my symptoms. I'd already told her my stomach was upset and my tongue was white. Now, my teeth are white no matter how much I brush them, clean them. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go to the dentist because I'm like trying to figure out what the fuck is going on with my tongue. So, and at this same clinic, this clinic that I went to, you know what I'm saying? I felt like they wasn't going to treat me right no way because I didn't have no health insurance. And you know, with that Obamacare shit, this was back in 17. And them was the same doctors that my fiance was going to. And I felt like they killed him. I felt like they killed him. They didn't look into it, what he had. But either way, peep game. When I think back about how it started, like I told y'all, he was 34 when he died. He okay, my grandson. He was 34 when he died. 2 years, only 2 years prior, at 32, did he have symptoms. They was like mild symptoms. They kept misdiagnosing him. They kept saying, "Oh, it's just arthritis," because what he had at first, it first started off with he couldn't drink regular milk. His stomach was upset. You know that your stomach is the basically the central station to your body. You know, if things don't go right in digestion, and all other systems start to fail. You know, because that's where it all starts in your gut. You know, can you pull what you need out of your food? Peep game. So he was not able to consume milk. So I was like, okay, why don't you try almond milk? Okay, we did the whole almond milk thing. The whole thing, all this shit, and now all these thoughts are coming back to me. It is so weird because at that time, this is in 2000, and let's take it back even a couple more years. Go back to 2013. I was down south because I come every summer, you know, to see the babies. Actually, my grandson was born that year, 2013. I was sitting at the computer, and you know how sometimes you're watching a YouTube video and it just so happened to a commercial will come on, you know, then you have to push a skip button. But this particular, I was away from the computer, but it had kind of got into the middle or the meat of whatever this commercial was. They was talking about um, Candida. And I had never heard of Candida. They was talking about what it was from. I was finna skip it, but I sat down at the computer because what they were saying was interesting. I'm like, okay, they're saying that this could poison you. It could lead to so many other things. I'm like, why we never heard of Candida then? Why we never heard of? They was talking about fast foods and all these sugar products, you know, soda. All of this is all a poison. I'm like, okay, so look, bear with me, y'all, because I'm like having random thoughts. Okay, so I seen that and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So I'll watch my diet. I eat fast food, but I'll watch it. Now, God led me to see that because fast forward a couple years later, like that was like in 13, let me see, 14. He died in 14. Oh, yeah, because that year when I went home, I told him about what I seen because we had a year together after that, like a year and a half. I told him what I seen on the computer, and I was like, "Ain't that you ever?" He was like, "Wow," and I'm like, "Baby, you better stop eating all the sugar and stuff." You know, he like donuts. You know, we smoke weed, get the munchies. Okay, it's just weird. Like he was fit, fucking 6'9", 300 pounds. Like fucking play ball. He might have been a little chunky, but it didn't matter. He was tall. Like it was. Then when you go back and see, he 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 was having upset stomach. His tongue never turned white, but he would go to the bathroom frequently. Like, and I noticed like his stool movements became more frequent. Like before we leave, he'll be like, my stomach, whatever. He'll go take, use the bathroom. But then when I back up, I never really thought much about it because we used to pop too. And you know what I'm saying? They call them hitters, whatever you call them, beans, whatever, whatever. We used to pop X. So we would pop this X, and like what X will do, it'll like clean the food out. Like I won't say clean it out, but whatever in your stomach, let's say you had just ate a big meal. That's why I used to like to eat before I popped, because I used to like to have some on my stomach to kind of coat it, and then if I popped, so it wouldn't burn the stomach lining out of my shit. And whatever food, I'm like, okay, so it'll dissolve the food and go down or whatever. But I would notice that when he would pop, he would have to, like, when I go to the bathroom and be done with it, then it started with him. That's some of the things that I'm going through, and some of the things that I seen him walk through, like with the stomach. And now, it progresses. So all she did was detour everything, because I didn't want to go back to that clinic also too, because this was in 2017 when I was getting ready to leave his house, which was in foreclosure, which was his family house. The free clinic was right there in the neighborhood, it was right on Inglewood. I mean, it was in the Inglewood area, right there down the street from his house. I could walk to it. Like I said, I didn't want to go back to them because I felt like, them incompetent ass motherfucking school doctors or physician assistants, whatever the fuck they are. I don't know. I just feel like they play with people's life, because like y'all ain't no real doctors, or y'all going to consult a medical doctor and come back and give us information. It's just stupid. Like it's dumb. But I remember coming. I remember. I was like 2017. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make sure, you know, I'm straight before I leave this area. I'm like, I want an STD check. I want this. I want that. So I went and did the STD check. Everything come cool, whatever, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So I don't have HIV. Okay, so I don't have HIV. Then why the fuck do my stomach is upset? Like, why I keep using the bathroom? And I'm like, at first I would start watching videos, and that was the first time I had noticed a gang stalker. When I had got checked out and I did my blood work, this I had never seen this lady in his clinic before, because I used to go frequently with him. He used to go get his blood work or whatever, whatever. I used to see the people, the staff there. This is when I noticed. I guess this was the beginning of my gang stalking. 16 and 17. 16 was the year I met the honeypot, the catalyst. But without going into all that, after this bitch took my blood work, this big fat bitch stuck this needle in my arm, and I'm like, now I could take a needle. I'm not a tattoo type person, but whatever. I know what it feel like. This shit hurted, and I was like, ow. And then she was like, and then the way she was looking at me, like she knew she just did something to me. She said, "Oh, I'm out of whatever this diameter syringe is." She was saying that they only had the big ones. Like it's like a big hole, like a big hole to suck your blood. Like, bitch, she was like they was out of the normal ones, I guess the little ones. I'm like, the fuck? No. When I put two and two together, that syringe hole was big because I felt like they implanted me with something. Y'all knew I was coming. Y'all injected me. You injected me, and then you took my blood. Ever since then, when I walked out the clinic, I seen the bitch sitting in the parking lot. Now I was like one of the last appointments. The clinic was closed. Even half the staff had left. You know what I'm saying? Reason why I was still there, most of everybody had left. It was somebody still, she was still doing their blood work. But it was a girl sitting in the parking lot. She was just sitting in the parking lot on her phone. That was the first time I ever noticed one of these gang stalkers sitting on their phone. I was like, why the fuck? Okay, whatever. Maybe she's just a worker, but it was just odd to me. That was the first time I got that feeling. That feeling of knowing that you always get now, that you every time you see a gang stalker, I get that feeling everywhere from the first time that I seen her. So okay, I walk home, whatever, but I'm pissed off about the syringe being in my arm. Now that this done happened to me, shit, the energy feel different around the neighborhood. Now I got police sitting down on the end of my block, always sitting and watching. Police is. I'm like, why is it always why is all this police presence? I'm like, but it's always on my street, but they could be within the line of sight of my house. You know what I'm saying? Whether I step on the back porch, I can see them on the back, or if I step on the front porch, they can see who go up and down my street. I'm like, okay, I ain't doing shit, but this shit is weird. So it wasn't too long after that that I had moved anyway. Like they came, I moved. I'll never forget. April 15th, they was paying cash for keys. So I found out about that. Whatever. They had sent me letters asking me, but I had told my fiance that too. Like, you know what I'm saying, he was gonna get some money to leave because he was talking about stripping that bitch up. He was talking about taking the water heater, taking all the stuff. I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm like, everything got to be intact in order for you to get money, for you to move. And so, anyway, I ended up getting a check. He had died, unfortunately. This was like in 17 that I got the check in April. They gave me a check for 10. I think it was 10,600, $10,600. I was like, why the fuck is this 600? I'm like, what is this sick shit? Anyway, I took the money. You have to sign basically that you gave them the keys, and you sign release that you moved. Okay, so they give me the money. They get the check. I leave that day. I go back and I'm staying with my friend up there, up in the suburb. I was already kind of halfway staying there anyway, but now I have to stay there full time because I don't have this place no more. But to make a long story short, I wasn't in the area no more. That's why I was going back and forth to the clinic, trying to make sure I was straight. It was down the street. But the whole time I'm having my stomach, it's still kind of upset. I could eat. And at that time, after he died, I was like popping heavy. Like I was doing a lot of shit. Not a lot of drugs, but I was doing a lot of popping, and I was having a lot of promiscuous sex. Whatever. That was another reason why I just wanted to, get the HIV check. But after I ruled that out, I'm like, what the fuck is it? I'm like, okay, if it's not that, then this bitch talking about some. I want to punch her in her face. She's talking about brush your teeth more. I was like, brush my teeth. No. She said when you brush your teeth, brush your tongue more. That's I said I do brush my tongue. My tongue is raw. I was just like, I'm not this bitch. And then on top of that, you insulting me. And then on top of that, you supposed to be giving me advice, but you send me to. Hold on, that's my grandbaby. Anyway, I'm all over the place. Cause all of this shit, it didn't make sense to me. It still don't make sense to me. It's all scattery. I'm still trying to put this shit together. But basically, what I'm getting to is okay. So fast forward to today. This shit, I've tried the sour side bitter. I've tried all kind of detoxes. I've tried all kind of shit, but nothing's working. But I remember mentioning something about, my stomach and my tongue before, and another targeted individual, oh, I forgot her name, but she told me, she was like, that's a parasite. And before my stomach even started being upset, I used to feel like butterflies in my stomach or like something was moving in my stomach. I don't know. It felt like nerves or something jumpy or something. I don't know. It was faint though. But I just felt like it was involuntary. I'm like, what is that sound? Why does it sound like it's something in my stomach or feel like something in my stomach? And I'm like, what does tapeworm feel like? I don't know. God was always trying to tell me something. So it's kind of like, okay, with her telling me it's a parasite, she gave me, she sent me all this information. No, 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 no. What she did was she sent me a link back into the YouTube message. And when I clicked the link, it sent me to a website that showed me like all of the information and all of the regimens of how to get the parasites out of my body. Like all the medicines, my crazy ass. I'm not a fucking pill taker. I don't like all that stuff in my body. I've never been a medicine taker, so I don't, I take some vitamins and stuff, but I ain't with all the pills and shit. That's why I said, Lord Jesus, if I had HIV, I probably just gonna pass because who they be taking like 30 pills a day, like all day. Like, I'm like, ooh. But anyway, not to get off the subject, when I seen all that, I had ordered all the shit. Was crazy. I had all the gas and all the motivation to order all this stuff, and vitamins ain't cheap, black seed oil, all kind of stuff. And then I looked at the regimen. You got to do this at a certain time. You got to take this at a certain time. Then you got to stop taking this and then let that and then go back to taking. I'm like, I'm not finna. So I still got the stuff sitting in the bag right here. And I don't know how long vitamins is good. I think I ordered that stuff like 2 years ago. Oh, I need to drink. My voice is cracky. Um, but and then I noticed, I don't know, it just wouldn't go away. It was progressing. But now I'm like, fuck it. Let me just take some money and buy. It's like some health insurance that you could buy. Like you know how you could do a prepaid card, cell phone, like you pay as you go. I grabbed some. I grabbed some health insurance. I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but I just thought of it now recently, and I looked it up, and it's like $500 a month, like $450 a month. You pay copay, whatever. So I grabbed it. I go to the doctor and tell him what's going on with me. He can hear it. That's why I chose an MD because I'm like, when you go to the free clinics, they only want to give you a physician assistant or a motherfucker with limited schooling. I'm like, I need a medical doctor because somebody who in this profession gonna be able to look at you and tell. They gonna go off your symptoms. They can look at you and put two and two together without even having to run all these expensive ass tests. Now the testing comes later after what they thought it was didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So I tell them, you know what I'm saying, that my stomach is bubbling. It's really loud, gas noises sometimes. Like I tell him all my other symptoms with the tongue and stuff. He was like, he's like, "Are you vaccinated?" I'm like, "No." He he was like, he had his mask on and he made me keep my mask on. When I tell him my tongue, he was like, "Let me see your tongue." When I show it to him, he wrote me a prescription. He wrote me a prescription, one for my tongue and one for the gas. But all this shit is connected, right? The tongue is just the tongue discoloration is just a manifestation of what's going on in your stomach. So he didn't tell me what he thought it was. He maybe thought I wouldn't understand, but you know me, I look up the medication. I look up the medication. I look up what it cures, what it's for, and it's for a parasite like stuff like malaria, like it tell you how you could come in contact with it. Like you, they say you can ingest it, you know, or like it could be in water, or like let's say you could be on a fishing trip, fall out the boat, and it get in your, you know, it's a bacterial infection. So also too, cause I'm like, it's also for bacterial vaginosis. It's not an STD, but it's like a, I don't even think it's an STI. It's just like bacterial infection, but it wasn't for my vagina. But I noticed that that was one of the things that was in it, like it would cure. And I'm just like, we didn't even talk about vagina, and I don't like no. So I know that's not what it's for. But of course, you know, when you see all the other stuff it's for, you know what it's for. I'm like, huh. So I look up that I just finished my last dose today. They gave me 21 pills, 3 times a day, 7 days. I finished the last one today. It's disgusting. It's really nasty. But he told me to drink a lot of water. So I go back and I research to see.
Nini, I'm a six pack.
You a six pack?
Yes, ma'am.
Good for you. Okay.
I want to be a five.
You want to be a 5 pack? I don't think.
I do not want to be a 4 pack.
You don't want to be a 4 pack?
No.
Okay.
Now and then the wind will blow me away.
Okay.
So I'm being.
Okay. Um. Yeah. Sorry about that. So, dang, what was I just saying? I was talking about the medication. I took it 3 times a day, 7 days. But my tongue, it cleared up a little bit, and I noticed I don't feel the frothiness in my mouth. I have more of a white saliva, not even white, it's just like bubbly. You know, it's more clear with like oxygen bubbles in it, you know, and that's what I was looking for. You can, because that's when they tell you, because sometimes you could spit in something and they could take a saliva specimen and you could tell a lot about a person's saliva. But it was like also, I was reading like, oh yeah, they said how you could catch it also is parasite could be on surfaces. And you know, that's why they say wash your hands a lot. But I'm like, I'm a clean motherfucker. I wash my hands, but look, if they always spraying shit, like they was talking about, it's blood in the chemtrails. You know, if they constantly spraying your house, I wasn't infected. I believe I became infected after I became a target. Yeah, I know I did. Because at the time that I met the honeypot, my tongue wasn't like this. I didn't have any problems until after I met him, which was in 2016. And like all the shit he was doing to me was stressing me the fuck out, which that's when I first started to notice that my tongue was turning. And my it was starting to get, yeah, that's when I noticed all of the symptoms began. And that's when I noticed a lot of the heavier following, a lot of the heavier targeting, a lot of the my targeting became more ramped up because it was so faint and light at the time. I didn't even really notice it was going on. Like I noticed, but it wasn't like that, you know. And then they said like this parasite, like it can multiply, like it's spores, like. Bear with me, y'all. I'm not a doctor. I'm just trying. I'm just telling you what I what I read and saw. But anyway, I saw that the medication, it said on there when I read it, like if this don't work, then they usually after you well not what they said after you take this medication and then if the symptoms don't completely go away, that's why he told me to come back in 2 weeks. The medication, take the medication for a week, give it a week, drink water, then come back by that 2 weeks. He should be able to tell if it worked or not. But this should be going to shoot this shit for years, so I don't expect one dose to work. But I do see improvement. Like, my eyes are brighter. My skin is brighter. I don't have bad acne. Well, I didn't never really have bad acne, but like spots in my face and stuff. Like, I don't know, my body was just changing. Like, you know, I keep my armpits shaved, but I just noticed like I was just mustier than usual. I'm like, damn, I just showered. Why am I so musty? It was like my chemistry, body chemistry was off. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my body? And I remember going back to 2013. I remember my boyfriend when he was going back and forth to the bathroom, and he used to like it as it progressed. He used to stay in the bathroom. If he went in the bathroom, he would sleep. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I felt like he was dying too. And I'm like, you're not the same. I'm like, I just felt like he was sick. I'm like, I just hope, they find out. I didn't know it was going to be fatal. I felt like, they was going to find out what was wrong with him and they was going to cure it or whatever was going on with him. And I remember him coming out the bathroom and I was in the kitchen because the kitchen was like down the hall from the bathroom, like across from he walked out. He was like, oh, I feel like I'm dying. And he said it like so sincerely, and I just hugged him and was like, "Oh, babe, you're not dying. Don't say that." I was like, "Don't say that, babe." He was like, and then I just could look at him and tell, like, he must really be, you know what I'm saying? Because he, why would he say that? And he said it with so much sincerity. I can do nothing but pray in my soul for him. And then shit, after that, a year later, he was gone. I was like, what you want?
Um, I cannot find my phone.
I know you can. That's why go use Rich's.
I can use Ricky's phone?
Mhm. Oh, that's he keep bothering me. He ain't got no cell phone to play games on, play Roblox. Keep throwing me off, but yeah, I remember him saying that, and a year later he was there, and it was like after that, I don't know. I just be thinking like, was his death connected to me? Were we both targeted? You know, the thing is, they can get you as long as you're not aware. That's how they take you down because you don't know what the fuck going on. When a target is aware that a motherfucker is out for you, then it's kind of like you move differently. You be aware you don't eat everybody food. You don't go different places. You know what I'm saying? You're not so free willy out there because you know motherfuckers is at you. You watch everything. At that time we had no idea. I had never heard of no shit like this. I never even knew. He didn't know. Who knew? It was like people in the hood was like coming up with all these different cancers, like my man is still full of puzzles, but it's like to fast forward to today and me taking this medication, this antibiotic, and if I'm taking a antibiotic for these parasites that's in my gut, I had only been on the antibiotic for 3 days when I made that video and was like July 3rd. When I was it the fourth? Yeah. I don't know. I have to go back. I think it was the third or the fourth. When I was like, ain't no gang stalkers, y'all was quiet. Yeah. That medication threw it ate some of them parasites up, so it kind of threw off the reading or the connection that they have to me. Whatever this is or however they can read me or read a target, it threw it off. And it delayed it because they'll still target me, but it'd be like 3 or 4 minutes later. It wasn't like I could walk to the door for have a cigarette in my hand and walk to the door. As soon as I step outside on the porch, somebody slam their door, boom. I'm like, huh? How the fuck do they know I just literally stepped outside? Yeah, it throws it off. Now this happened to me before. I remember seeing another Target's video, and this was like in the beginning, and they was talking about we saying we had to detox. The beginning of my targeting, I mean, this was like in 2017 or 18. Ooh, I probably have to go through I got so many vitamins and stuff right here and pills and stuff. I can go through my bag and tell you what he told us to take. I think it was iodine. I think, yeah, it was iodine. And when I was taking an iodine or iodide, whichever one it was, it throws them off. It threw them off. Like, I can go to the store or I was just at Walmart the other day. Do you know I didn't have my camera on and did not one motherfucking stalker follow me? I usually have my camera on and that back them up, but they still be behind me playing games. This particular time on this medication, they was not around. I felt like I used to when I was before this shit even started happening. I'm like, this is crazy. Nobody sitting outside my car when I walk my groceries to the car. Nobody, but I knew that I was still targeted because when I came, of course I didn't think it was gone, but when I come home, I see one car speed past my house. But it wasn't as many. Like, well, these motherfuckers were speeding past my house all crazy. Only if I turn on the tablet, my recorder, and sit it in the window, it record for an hour at a time. And I got like a 500 gig in that motherfucker, so it could record all day, and now you just have to restart it. It don't, start by itself. Like once it stops for an hour, you gotta go back and push it again. But I always know when my recorder stops because I can hear it's like as soon as it stopped, the second it stopped, the traffic on these main streets pick up with loud pipes and stuff. As soon as I turn the camera on, they stop instantly. It's like as if I had a remote control on the traffic that's surrounding my house. It's like I could push the button and turn the world off or turn it on. I know this shit sound freaky and I'm real scattery, but I'm just trying to get it out. It don't even make sense to me. It's like, so I will give y'all an update on my stomach and what else the doctor gave me. I did see on the internet where it said after we do this medication, if it don't go away, they want to do another medication. But I'm gonna see what he say. I got screenshots, all that shit. So at the same token, when you go into the doctor, and you got to check up on a doctor. Like when he give you a prescription, you got to see that they know what the fuck they talking about. It'll make sense. It'll all make sense to you once they give you the medication. You can diagnose yourself. You'll know exactly what he gave you, or what he's saying is for. A lot of doctors don't tell you stuff because this shit might not make sense to you anyway. You know, if they told you, but yeah, you know, um, oh, last but not least, I'm at 30 minutes almost. Go and look at. Okay. We as TIs, we watch each other's videos and we swap information. Okay, we learn from each other, and like when y'all discover stuff, y'all tell somebody else about it. Like I, the whole time when I was making videos, I was researching and listening to the word and listening to Pastor Darby and listening to um ooh this parasite I think too give me a brain fog. It give me brain fogs, but I be forgetting stuff. But the Watchmen, the Watchmen 63. Go look at my TI list. It's a bunch of TIs that I even want y'all to subscribe to. Y'all don't really know about. Let me see. Well, if I stop this video, it's MBX. Oh, I should have wrote. I should have been more prepared to write some stuff down. But at any rate, I left my TI discussion playlist public. So if you go through there and you have some time, go through there and look at some videos because that's what take up most of the time. You gonna be knowing what to watch. Sometimes YouTube might be dead on the weekends. Ain't nobody really posting nothing. All this stuff is pertaining to us. It has to do with either targeted individuals, the Word of God, and the Word of God is all connected to this, So discover some new TIs you haven't discovered. Um, and I think I left my phone number on Brother Pat's under his comment section. But like UTIs can call me like if you wanted to. I like to keep my business private. Like right now, I got a moment of privacy time. Like I don't like to talk about this stuff in front of people, like bots, because everybody's a bot to me. If you're not one of us, you a bot. And even if you're not stalking on purpose, you stalking by default, all because you're not aware or you don't want to know. You part of that shit too. So I just rather talk to those who understand. And even if I'm having a conversation on the telephone, people are listening. I like to text. I like to text, and that way we can go back and forth, and I don't have to. Everybody else don't have to hear my conversation. And fuck the gang stalkers. So it's 706-505-5929 if you want to call or text. But half the time we don't be having shit to say. No way, like to each other, cause y'all probably in the same situation that I'm in, where you can't really talk like that. Um, you got family members that's around or friends. Well, I can't even, not friends, but family, and you don't want to be, them recording you like, oh, recording her. Look, they crazy. You listen to what they be talking about. No, I just don't with that shit. Um, it's raining cats and dogs here in Georgia. Y'all forgive me for that scatter, that scatting conversation, but it'll all. I know this shit sound whack as hell to somebody who's not a target, but to somebody who's a target, this shit probably make all the sense in the world. Like, or you could relate to like the whole parasite in the stomach thing. Maybe you knew somebody who died from cancer very young, unexpectedly, or got sick, or you know, just all that. Just anyway. Okay. Happy Sabbath, y'all.